with a couple little tips and tricks for grooming your Maltese. I know with quarantine and everything, some people are having a hard time getting into groomers. Groomers are really busy right now, and it's practically impossible. So I've had Maltese for a couple years, and for me, it's just been easiest to learn how to do this myself instead of paying a groomer to do it. I am by no means a professional. It's just something I enjoy doing and have enjoyed learning. So if you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to shoot me a message down there in the comments, and I will answer whatever questions I possibly can. So let's get to it. So my little model today is going to be Paisley. She is 2 years old. She's still very much a puppy. As you can see, she's she's very sweet, very loving. The cut that I typically really keep on her is what they call like a Korean cut. So I like to keep her body very, very short. I like her legs to stay long, obviously her tail to stay long, and I like her ears. And then I like to put little bows and stuff in her, so I keep the top of her head pretty long too. And I keep around her little muzzle pretty short. For me personally, I don't like the muzzle long just because it gets in the food, and then they're just drooly and kind of gross, and it's hard enough to keep clean anyway. So for me, it's just a personal choice, but I like to really keep this short, and she's pretty cute anyway. So the first thing that I think I'm going to talk about to kind of help you guys out, and a lot of things that I've noticed people struggling with, is the face. For me, the face was the hardest thing to learn, and I'm going to show you some of the tools that I use for this, just to kind of help you guys out. And all this stuff that I've honestly just gotten on Amazon, and I mean, it was all fairly inexpensive, but just remember that if you do buy something online, you get what you pay for. So if you buy something super, super cheap, especially with your scissors, they're going to get very dull very quickly, and they're not going to work very well. If you get super cheap clippers, Maltese have hair more than fur, and so their hair can actually bog down certain kinds of clippers. So kind of keep that in mind, read reviews. I'll show you what I use and kind of go from there. But when it comes to their face, something obviously you see that tear staining is an issue with Maltese in general. So I try and keep the hair around their eyes very, very short. It kind of helps with that, because for some of them, when that hair gets in the eyes, it causes the eyes to water and then causes that rust color right there. So I've got a pair of curved shears here. I love these shears. I think these are 6 or 7 inch shears. I can't remember. I'll look it up and I'll put it down in the description for you guys. But I'm going to move her a little closer while I do her eyes. You sit for me? Good girl. So I've taught my guys that I kind of hold their little chin hairs here. She's going to not cooperate because she's on camera today, but I've taught them all that when I have the clippers or the scissors close to their little face. Come here, baby. Good girl. And I just kind of brush it along their eye, and that way they learn to close it when the clippers or the scissors are near. So when you trim around the eyes, the main thing is hold on, sissy. You're going to cut at an angle like this, okay? So you're going to cut up in a V on each side. If you can see, I hope you can see that. So here, I'm going to give her a little short trim. I'm going to push all this hair out of the way. Good girl. All right, eyes. Okay, good. Good girl. And just trim that right up out of the way. And then I'm going to hold her like this, just because for the camera's sake today. Always be so, so careful when you're trimming around the eyes. You don't want to poke their cute little face. And I'll brush all that down. We'll do this side a little bit more because it didn't quite get it all. Eyes. Good girl. Very good. There. And then you can see that she can see now much, much better. Always err on the side of caution and leave it a little bit longer than what you think you want. You don't want to cut too short and then have all these crazy little hairs that are just wild and then regret cutting something and having to wait, you know, a month or more for it to grow back out. So I just kind of do that with her. And that's kind of all I do here for at least right along there. For the side of her head, this was something that I found the hardest to find video tutorials on, and I don't know why, but I always wanted to know like how to trim here. Like, help me out here, guys, and I could never find the help. So with your Maltese, with them having more hair than having fur, the best thing that I have found is using some kind of a detangling spray. You can use whatever you want. I just use a Johnson & Johnson's because it's very, very gentle on them and it doesn't mess with their pH too much. And just in case, you know, I always try to be cautious around the eyes, but in case for some reason I get a little crazy, you know, it's gonna be okay. So I'm just gonna spritz a little bit of that into my hand. And the main purpose of this is also to help keep them from getting split ends. They can get split ends just like we do. So I just kind of rub this along her face, top of her head, and her ears. And then this is going to be your best friend. Get you a metal comb. They always say the comb doesn't lie. You know, you're like, oh, look, they look so soft and brushed out. And then you get in there and you're like, oh, look, there's a knot. Like, the comb doesn't lie about knots and tangles. So I hold her ear kind of up and out of the way, and I push down on all of this. And then again, I take my wonderful curved shears. And obviously you can see that some of this has grown out, but I'm trying to get all the ear hair out of the way. And I start, for me, up here kind of like by her nose, and I just cut just like that. So I cut along the shape of her muzzle and the shape of her jawline here. And something that is going to be a saving grace for you guys, invest in a decent pair of thinning shears. Again, I just got these from Amazon. They were called like master grooming tools. I love these. These are going to help cover up any mistakes or jagged edges that you guys have made if you use them correctly. So just for fun, come here, sister. Can you sit, please? Can you sit? Good girl. So say that I messed up when I was cutting and I have this little craziness here going on. If you can see like those extra hairs hanging down, you can take your thinning shears and go over that a couple times. Good girl. And basically blend that and feather it out. When you're cutting, especially along here, never cut up because you're going to end up with blunt edges. But if for some reason that you do, go back through with these thinning shears and you can blend it out and it's like it never even happened. These things are great. I highly recommend them. You will use them all the time. Some Maltese, depending on what you have, can have really thick hair in certain places, and if you need to thin it out, obviously these are great for those. If you have larger areas, I would recommend getting this type of shear. These are called chunkers. And as you can see, that is much wider on there than the other thinning shears were. These, be careful when you use these because obviously these are going to be taking out much bigger chunks and you might literally bite off more than you can chew and not be too happy with the result. So experiment with these first, maybe like on the outer edges. So you can see how much that, well, you can't see. These take off a lot more than those smaller thinning shears. So if I pull, I know it's kind of hard to see. If I pull that back, I mean, that takes off a lot of hair versus the thinning shears. See how much less that takes off and just kind of feathers and softens the look. And for her right now, I'm going to trim that down anyway, so it doesn't matter. She's got some wild hairs going on. It's been a little while. I've been kind of bad about doing her legs lately, and I've been a bad dog mom, and I got to get back on that. So those are the main tips that I have for like their face. When it comes to their actual little muzzle here, like I said, I like to keep that short. I'm going to move her a little bit closer here so you can see. Can you look? Good girl. So I pull or brush and comb all of this hair forward here when I do that. I sometimes even take my fingers and hold her little nose like that. Obviously don't push down, so you know she still needs to be able to breathe. But you can push that hair forward and then again take a pair of curved shears and just kind of give it a round little shape. And see how I kind of made a funny jagged edge on there? That's when I can go back with my thinning shears and smooth out any imperfections that I made. Let's see, and then she's got, and this side still looks pretty much the same. And then she's got a really cute little muzzle and a cute face. Occasionally, I'll actually take a pair of clippers that I have and I'll shave right here just to just to keep everything out of the way and make it look nice. She's actually pretty good about that, but today, for time's sake, I won't. If you guys are interested in that, let me know, and I'd be happy to show you how I do that as well. With ears, I think it's just a personal preference for everybody. Some people, you know, obviously like the ears to be nice and flat across. Some people like them super, super short. The best advice I can give for ears is when you lift the ear, find the end of the ear leather right here. And so if you wanted a shorter ear, you would just take your curved scissors again and you would just follow along with the shape of the ear and then let it fall over and then trim it from the other direction downwards to make it all nice and level. I might show that on one of my other dogs. Like I said, hers I keep long, so I'd be super sad if I cut them, and I'm not gonna do that. Let's kind of move on to feet. I'm gonna, oops, sorry, move the camera down. Try and not make you guys nauseous with my terrible videoing skills today. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna scooch it over a little bit. Okay, so for little feet, like I said, I keep her feet kind of rounded out. Comb them out really, really well. Make sure you don't have any tangles or anything. Brush everything down when you do this, just like that. If your dog is good and will let you hold their feet while you do this, sometimes it's helpful. A little trick is if you get your index finger and put it right behind their elbow, it's a lot harder for them to pull their foot away from you versus if I was just holding it here. She was just gonna lick me. But this is a nice, helpful little trick just to put your finger back there. So the main thing with doing feet is to just follow the actual shape of the foot, okay? So I just go around a little bit and basically like I'm just tracing her foot with a pair of scissors. Be very careful, especially doing that on the bottom, that you don't actually get her paw pad in the scissors. That will just about ruin their trust and make it to where they never want you to do this ever again. But just do that nice and softly. That's awesome. Good girl. Wonderful. And then always comb it out after you do it because you will see stray little hairs that you missed. Good girl, stay. And then I'm going to take my thinning shears again. Stay, Paisley. Stay. Good girl. And I'm going to go around that edge again just to soften it out. Good girl. I know. You're over this. She's like, we just did this like a week ago. Why are we doing this again? Okay. See? And then that gives her a nice, soft, little feathery foot. Good girl. These clippers here I bought on Amazon. It has a little dial that rotates how long the blade is. So you can see that little white bar move up and down. These are wireless. For me, sometimes these are so much easier to use just because, you know, sometimes when you have a small dog, they can be very wiggly. They don't want to hold still. And it just helps not having that cumbersome wire in the way while I'm doing it. These clippers also came with different plastic guards. personally, for me, what I have found with these guys is this is one of the ones that their hair gets really bogged down in the middle of these, and it almost starts to pull their hair. So I basically just save these clippers for if I'm doing their paw pads, or if I'm doing like a sanitary clip or something like that, or if I'm shaving their bellies. I keep their bellies super short just because for me it's easier, and then when they go to the bathroom, you know, we're not having gross stuff in the hair. It just helps keep them a lot cleaner for me, and I mean, who doesn't like their cute little pink bellies anyway? So for me, that's what I do. Let me get her to stand up here for you a little bit, face the other way. And see if you can see this. So obviously you can see that her little paw pads need it a little bit. Sorry for reaching in your field of vision here, but if I can get her to hold still for me, I'll just, oh sweetheart, good girl. And I reach through almost like she was a little horse, and I left him on the long setting. But good girl. And I just get all this hair out in there and go back and forth on the, obviously you be careful because you could theoretically cut their paw with these. I find that with the plastic guard, it's not as, that little plastic guard, it's not as dangerous as with the metal one, but still obviously be very careful because you don't ever want to hurt them. Good girl. She's very wiggly today. See? Good girl. Good job, sis. There. All right. Here, let's show everybody your cute little foot now. And then you can see that her little paw pad is nice and shaved and cute. When you're doing feet, if they don't want you to hold them while you shape around them, it's absolutely fine just to let them leave their foot on the floor. And then again, I know she keeps putting her face down there. She likes to see what I'm doing. You will just trace around the foot that way. So that's perfectly fine to do that. And then as you can see, for her, that gives her a nice, cute little round foot. And then I'll scoot her a little bit. Good girl. I'm gonna comb this one out. Said I like to leave her super fluffy just because I think it's cute. And again, this is gonna be personal preference for you guys too. And then, can you put your head up for me? Good girl. And then I'm gonna follow around that foot. You'll just trace that foot. And then I'll switch my scissors kind of over. Sorry, they're gonna be in your way. Good, perfect. I'm gonna pick it up just a little bit and get this little edge that I missed. Good girl. Very good. And then again, take my thinning shears and feather it all out. Good job, sister. It's not gonna be any different for the back feet. I get her to stand up. Something that I found, so say if you have a dog that likes to try and sit constantly when you're doing that, I'll just take my hand and kind of hold them from in between their legs like that. That way she can't sit down. Or if she does, I'm at least holding her up a little bit. And then I'm gonna comb out. I've already sprayed this, so comb it all out. Good girl. And then I'm gonna trace around this back foot as well. Okay, and then you can see here, she's kind of got this longer hair that's kind of poking out. I'm just gonna cut that off because it doesn't take away from the look at all. She's got some longer hair that's growing here. So I'm gonna kind of pull those forward, and then I'm gonna take my chunking shears and I'm gonna cut down towards her ankle at an angle here. All of the time being aware of where the top of her foot is so I don't accidentally cut the top of her foot. There. And then you'll find a few more stragglers. Come here, sissy. Hold still. and then go back and pick up any of the little straggler hairs that you missed. Comb it out again, and then you can see that looks a whole lot better. And then if you're worried that you might have left some of the edges too harsh, again, go in with your thinning shears and soften all of that up. If you like this Korean cut style, and especially as it starts to grow out, if you feel like this is starting to look funny, just be patient with it, honestly. It's gonna kind of stick out here on this part for a while. The main thing is what you're starting to do is letting these top layers kind of grow out and cover it. So if these bottom layers you keep a little bit shorter, that's okay. That will help with tangles, but let this part grow out. Just be patient with it. If you like it a little bit shorter and you're like, no, I don't want it to be like almost like show length, then you can take that, you can take your curved scissors again and shape it with her knee there, and then go back in and blend it. I personally am wanting it a little bit longer and I'm letting it grow out, so I'm not gonna cut that on her today. The next thing is a sanitary clip. Some people are kind of intimidated by these, but if you just go slow, be careful, everything will be okay, I promise. So you can just take your clippers. I'll move it to a longer setting because if you cut it too short, especially back here, you could potentially end up with razor burn, and that is definitely something you do not want to have. So you will, she's gonna want to sit down for this today. I will put one arm underneath her to kind of help hold her up, and then I'm gonna use the other arm to kind of reach around and hold her tail up. So when you do the sanitary clip, I'm gonna start right about here and just kind of slowly go upwards just to get the hair that's down along here cut off. And then I'm gonna go through and go off from the side like that. And then again from the other side and push away. And this might differ for you guys versus whether you have a boy or girl. For the girls, I'll go ahead and go down here and clean around this area as well, because I personally, you know, as you can see, sometimes that will get a little stained back here too, and it's just easier to keep them clean, keep them from getting infections back here. It's just a lot better for them, I feel like. For the boys, I might show you, I'll probably grab my little boy here in a minute and show you how I clean up under his belly and stuff and keep him clean. That way, again, you don't have the mess, or if they, you know, after they've gone, they don't drip into the house or anything like that. And this side, I'm gonna comb out as well. Do her little foot again. Get my curved shears. I'm gonna scoot her tail out of the way because I'd be really sad if I cut that. And again, cut off that weird little part that's grown long back here. Trace her little foot. Good job. Comb it out one more time. Make sure I didn't miss any hair, which sometimes I always manage to. Trim again. And as you get more confident with the scissors, you probably aren't going to have to go back with your thinning shears as much, because you're going to start to get much, much better at it as you do it. Don't freak out if you mess up. It's hair. It'll grow back. So don't worry about it. It will grow back. Good job. If you like bows and that kind of thing in your Maltese, which I really do, something, you know, it's really tempting. Let me see if I can get her to kind of look at you here. To, when you're trimming the face and stuff, just to lop off the hair that's right here. Be patient, let that grow out, because then when you pull all this hair back, it's gonna look nice and smooth versus all these little wild sprigs. So be patient with that. Give it time to grow out. This has literally taken 2 years for at least her to grow hers out. So don't get discouraged. It'll happen. So I just kind of take all that hair there in the middle and I pull it back. I'll take a little bit of my spray, spritz it, smooth it back. I know, you're such a good girl. I know, you're such a good girl. Here, hold on. Don't leave a rubber band in more than, I would say probably 2 days, because if your Maltese is anything like mine, you know, they like to rub on the carpet, rub their little face on the furniture. It's gonna get knotted and really, really tangled. So you need to make sure that you're taking it out, letting their little head rest for a while. So let me see if I can move her back into the frame, sorry. And then keep it pretty loose right around here. Once you get the band in, I'll take my finger or even the comb and then just kind of move the hair around. She says, oh, that feels good. And that way nothing's pulling or pinching around there. And then she's got her cute little pom-pom fountain there. And what kind of a bow do you want to wear today? She's got so many bows, it's not even funny. What do you want? How about, do you want our flower? Okay. And then we'll put a cute little flower in her hair. There, let's see. Let's look at you. Very cute. Okay, guys, thanks for following along today. If you, like I said, if you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I will answer whatever I can for you. And until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.